All right, so here's a little exclusive bonus content and an exercise for you guys on my email list that I'm filming here. So with this exercise, we need a couple of wedges. Now, the wedge height depends on how well you can keep your foot contacts down, specifically the inner heel and first metatarsal head right here. But we want to do that and not lose the outside foot. So right about here, this far apart, and we're gonna do this on my left side here. So we're gonna expect to bias my left foot towards supination, my left hip towards internal rotation. And you could hold on to something like this just for stability, but what I recommend is getting those contacts on the wedge right there. So they need to be far enough apart to where you can easily find that, but not so far to where like your big toe's coming off of it or whatever. So right about there is gonna be ideal. Now I recommend starting in the bottom position. So we're gonna go down here, make sure that this back knee is more or less underneath the back hip. And then we're going to slightly hinge, getting really heavy onto this foot right here. Again, feeling the foot contacts of the inner heel and the first metatarsal head right there. As I hinge forward, getting heavy, I should feel a very slight stretch in the back of my left hip. And I'm not gonna have much weight on this right foot at all, but I'm gonna keep those toes down. And then I'm gonna go up, keeping that torso angle, keeping my head slightly up, keeping a neutral spine, if anything, keeping my chest up a little bit, and then I'm gonna slowly lower myself down into this position. I should feel a stretch in the back of my left hip as I go down, keeping those foot contacts as I come up. This should really feel nice. Like I'm kind of getting a good stretch in the back of my hip capsule, but I'm heavy over that left leg. You can do a very light tap down to the ground, maintaining that torso angle. So from a front-facing view, it looks like this right here. And you can take away that rack support eventually as you get competent at this. So I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna hinge over a little bit, let my arms dangle, head up. I'm gonna go here, boom, staying real heavy on that left foot. And it should feel great in the back of my hip. I'll know I'm doing it right when I feel it exclusively in the back of the hip. I feel some glute working, maybe a little inner thigh adductor on this left leg right here, some quad, but I shouldn't feel any pinching in the front of my left hip. If I do, then I need to make sure that my torso angle isn't as forward and potentially reduce the range of motion within my hips as well as I go down into hip flexion. So what I can do is I could just start a little higher and then hinge into it. I could even just hold this position if I really wanted to, but ultimately you want the foot moving dynamically, so you could just reduce the amount of range of motion that you're going into. So try that for about 2 to 3 sets of about 8 to 12 reps, and it should feel really nice.